Hi and welcome to Tabletop Gaming. My name is Charlie and today we are taking a first look at Dark Veil RPG. Now this is a super exciting coming to Kickstarter RPG that uses d6s to allow you successes and to further your adventure. But as with all RPGs, it's the story that's the one that's going to get you hooked. So let's talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about what the story is like, what the setting is like, what you can expect from it. We'll talk about sort of how the characters work, what you can expect from the dice that you're going to need to roll, as well as what you'll find on that Kickstarter with a little bit of extra info too. So be sure to watch all the way through, and if you have any questions, as always, pop those in the comments for us and we'll do our best to respond to you. So without further ado, let's talk about Dark Veil itself and the universe that it is set in. Now, the first thing I will say is this is not a time travel RPG. We're not traveling back in time to do different things. You are in a world where time exists concurrently, but there are pockets that are existing in different time zones. I'm not just talking about a little bit of jet lag if you jump from one to the other. I'm talking a sort of medieval style place and a cyberpunk style place. How? Well, a year ago in game setting, the universe sort of fractured and it created these time splits. So places that were there originally are now in different times to when they started. Time is still linear, so what that means is you can go into one and then come out and go into the other. Your time is still progressing, their time is still progressing. It's all going through as it should do, but these are separated by a misty, murky, stormy veil that comes across to mark their boundaries of different time zones. That is the Dark Veil. Now, fortunately, because there are multiple different ones, there is a sort of more futuristic option, the spacey option, that has more futuristic technology. And using a mixture of magic and that technology, it was possible to form portals and entryways into those different worlds. And when they're all working as they should be, that means that you could spend the morning in a medieval setting with kings and pirates and all sorts, and end your evening in a futuristic cyberpunk style setting. If you play multiple RPGs or have played multiple RPGs or are like me and get stuck into one RPG and then immediately want to try something entirely new, this gives you a lot of difference in your playing. And interestingly, you can pull things from other places. So because of the futuristic option, they were able to create the portals into different places. So it might be that you go to one and you learn something and your character then grows as you go within those different places. All very exciting and all a really intricate way of building a character, again without needing to do the time travel stuff. Everything is happening in a concurrent fashion. It's just this split. Now you, of course, are an intrepid adventurer of all kinds, and you will have different things that you need to do and succeed, which will be taken through in the core book. Now there is a quick start adventure that you can pick up, and one of the PDFs available is so that you can gather an understanding of it, so you might pass that out to your players. They understand sort of key terms, what's happened, what's going on, what they need to know, and then the other gives you the adventure itself, so you can dive right in. Your players are going to be crossing a portal, but they have forged documents, and that's not the only peril in their path, which of course your GM will take you through. But the full adventure will be on Kickstarter. Now, what we do know is the different pockets, the different eras that exist. At the moment, there are 4 distinct ones to be aware of. The first era is the Kingdoms era, and this has kings, it has pirates, it has all of the medieval fun that you would want from a standard RPG that you would expect. So my default is to think of that era where we're sort of like, we've not got modern technology, and we're in castles and cool things like that, and that's where this comes into effect. Now, as you would imagine, with places that have different intentions and goals and outputs, that this has its own goals, and many nations in this formed an alliance. The Alliance of Kingdoms, is focused on broadening their reach through military might, which is interesting because how much will that take them through the Veil? Will it take them past the Veil? Is there something going on here? We don't know! Then we have the Victorian era. Now, of course, this is named after our own Victorian time, and it is a sort of steampunk era, so that's your setting and your backdrop that you're going for. It's also a more sort of philosophical thinking style era, and with lots of thinkers and lots going on. Now there is a faction that dominates in this, which is the Retained Steam Republic, and is led by Queen Victoria X. So keep that in mind. Now the next one is the space era, and these are the ones that were responsible for those gates that you're seeing everywhere that allow you to pass in and out of these different worlds. These guys are focused on the technology and of course the magic that comes along with it, but the search into the stars. Survivors are mostly ruled by the ruling faction, which is the Order of the Veil. They're a big mixture of different companies and civilizations and people, and they are the ones that sort of police the Veil a little bit more, as much as it's possible to do anyway. And then finally, the last one is the Dark Veil. Now this is sort of the unknown area. This is what we don't know about the world, and this is where sort of murky, scary, spooky sort of, I say scary, it's how you make it. You can very much homebrew this style of things and sort of bring in things like extra politics or extra differences and create judgments against those factions and how they're interrupting or integrating with each other. That's all down to you. However, there will be more for that. Now, I'll be totally honest, with future expansions, I would imagine different time pockets being opened and different times and ways of play being available to you in future. But for now, it's those ones as a setting for the initial Kickstarter, so be sure to check those out. Now, once you've got through the sort of what, the setting, and that's pulled you in, because it pulled me in, you'll want to know how you're going to play. So it's a D6 system. You will have a character that you will create, or there are some pre-generated ones available for you. I'll link those below, that will have certain skills and abilities. So there are 16 common skills, which are your standard ones. You have 4 combat skills, and then you also have 4 magi skills, which are magic skills. And depending on how good you are in certain areas, depends on how many dice you'll get. So if you have a 2 score next to one of them, you will roll 2 dice. That goes all the way up to 8, although beware, from 6 to 8 is sort of if you take a mastery in that subject, if you really hone down your skills into that one thing, that's where you will see the increased dice available to you. Now, the rolls of those dice are success based, so getting a 5 or a 6 will see you having success in your action. Getting a 6 will actually allow you to roll again to see if you can get even more success, and with the opposite of that being, of course, if you roll the 1, that dice is then burnt, so you can't use that on your turn now because it has been burnt and discarded. Now, of course, you get 1 dice in each skill just to set you going, because you need to have basic ability to do things, but you can increase those depending on your character, and you might start with more in some others than you do. So you can keep going and building your character in this beautiful new world. Now, speaking of that character, again, character sheets are available, so you can take a look at those to get an idea of how it all works, but ultimately you will create that character and you will modify them or level them up as you go through in order to build your character sufficiently to your, I say specifications, but how you want your character to grow. So it might be that you start off with specific gear, it might be that you change that over later, because there's a lot of options when it comes to that, but if you think your character has really good armor and you've invested heavily in your armor, you're going to be better in sort of fighting than you might be otherwise, or you might invest in different areas or find new things that influence how your character focuses on specific areas and your subsequent upgrades as a result. The other thing that can really customize your character are traits. Now, these can be learned traits. It might be that you have to join an order for a certain period of time to be able to earn them. It might be that they give you things that sort of allow you to steal magic or steal options or steal things to keep it more interesting. You're not just earning those, but you might be taking some of them too, because you've got to keep it fresh. Got to keep it interesting. Now, the core book will contain hundreds of these, so you can really customize. As you add those levels on, you can have a completely different character each time you even think about it, let alone when you actually start playing through. And game wise, of course, you have a 3 turn per action rule, so you can do quite a bit as you go, and you're just going to be following the adventure. Now, that adventure is going to be given to you within the campaign, so you can head on through. Of course, you can homebrew, because it's an exciting thing to be able to do. You can take new divergences and try new things out and see how it all goes, but ultimately this is your chance to play in different timed worlds, in different styles, with one character that you are attached to. So your one character could go through pirates and then take that pirate knowledge and apply it to space, and who knows how you're going to play it. It's up to you, and it's up to the dice as to what route your travels take you on. Now, there's some extra information for DMs that's quite helpful, things like being able to quickly build an NPC with the right stats. You have group or solo conflicts to make it easy and quick and sort of keep that pace going, as well as all your info for like key encounters and things that you actually need to go through for your players to experience and to try and defeat. It is a game that of course encourages roleplay, so if you as a GM can encourage your players to get involved in that sense, it feels less mechanical, it feels more alive, and that creates this beautiful world of the Dark Veil, of where those different pockets are, of those different worlds that are being made, of those stories that are in each and every one of them, and the stories that you build as you play. Now, Dark Veil Studios have fantastically realised this and are looking to release things like a board game in future and perhaps some books, which means that this world is only going to get bigger, not least with your stories, but with new lore and new options, and hopefully in the future new expansions. You'll get more from that. So for now, the game is on Kickstarter, or at least will be on September the 15th, so you can go and check that out. Do so now if you haven't already. They're hoping for shipment in June 2022, so you've not got too long to waste as Kickstarters go. That's pretty good. And you'll also have options for additional things, so you can use your base pledge, which gives you the core book, and you can then increase that to things like including miniatures and game mats, which aren't necessary. You can play it simply with the core book, but are great extra features, let's be honest, because who doesn't love a good miniature to represent what they're actually doing? There are also some early bird bonuses, so make sure if you haven't already signed up before the Kickstarter, then get there quick and take a look and see if you can capitalise on one of those too. Now, I will pop all the links that you need in the description, so go check those out now. Do drop us a comment if you have any questions, queries, or you just like the sound of it. I want to hear everything. And while you're checking out those links, don't forget to check out tabletopgaming.co.uk for all of your usual news, info, stories, and everything you could possibly wish for. Plus, like and subscribe for even more from us. With that, I just want to say thank you so much for watching and have a great day.